Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Boeing Company's first quarter 2020 earnings conference call. Today's call is being recorded. The management discussion and slide presentation, plus the analyst question and answer session, are being broadcast live over the internet. To ask a question on today's conference, please press the digit 1 followed by the digit 0 on your touch-tone telephone. Again, it is 10 for questions. After pressing 10, you will hear that you've been placed in queue. Pressing 10 again will take you out of queue and may prevent you from being able to ask a question. At this time, for opening remarks and introductions, I am turning the call over to Ms. Maurita Sutedja, Vice President of Investor Relations for the Boeing Company. Ms. Sutedja, please go ahead.
Thank you, John, and good morning. Welcome to Boeing's first quarter 2020 earnings call. I'm Maurita Sutedja, and with me today are David Calhoun, Boeing's President and Chief Executive Officer, and Greg Smith, Boeing's Executive Vice President, Enterprise Operations and Chief Financial Officer. After management comments, we will conduct a question and answer session. In fairness to others on the call, we ask that you please limit yourself to one question. As always, we have provided detailed financial information in our press release issued earlier today. And as a reminder, you can follow today's broadcast and slide presentation through our website at boeing.com. Before we begin, I need to remind you that any projections, estimates, and goals we include in our discussion this morning are likely to involve risks, which are detailed in our news release, in our various SEC filings, and in the forward-looking statement disclaimer at the end of this web presentation. In addition, we refer you to our earnings release and presentation for disclosures and reconciliation of certain non-GAAP measures. Now, I will turn the call over to Dave Calhoun.
Thank you, Maurita, and good morning, everyone. I want to start by saying I hope you are all staying safe and healthy during this global crisis. I also want to thank my Boeing colleagues around the globe for everything they are doing to support each other, our business, and our customers during these intensely challenging times. On behalf of Boeing, I'd like to recognize all of the public servants out there, from federal, state, and local authorities to frontline healthcare professionals and first responders, for the difficult decisions and the personal risks they are making to protect and care for all of us. Let's turn to the second slide, please. The COVID-19 pandemic is a global crisis like no other. This hits home for us personally and professionally. Across Boeing, we're focused on keeping our people and our communities safe. We're battling to stop the virus by taking every measure possible, including early implementation of virtual work, deep cleaning our work areas, adjusting work patterns, adding visual indicators to increase social distancing in temperature screening stations with no-touch thermal scanners, providing access to medical information around the clock, quarantining anyone potentially exposed to the virus, suspending operations where necessary, and more. We have doubled our paid leave policy for those who cannot work remotely when their sites are suspended. At sites where we've had to temporarily suspend operations, we've worked closely with our customers to ensure we maintain critical support for them. And before bringing our teams back to work, we've implemented objective and rigorous steps aligned with federal and state guidance to ensure safe and orderly restart of operations. Earlier this week, we announced that we will resume operations at our Boeing South Carolina site beginning on May 3rd. This move brings back our final production site that was temporarily suspended as a result of COVID-19. We're also doing everything we can to support our global supply chain health. A number of our suppliers have suspended or reduced their operations, resulting in some supply shortages for our own operations. In some cases, this contributed to our site suspension decisions. We've taken mitigating actions where we can, but supply disruption remains a key watch item for us. At the other end of our value chain, we continue to support our commercial airplanes and services customers as their own business slows to a trickle. We've also focused on meeting the commitments to our defense and space customers. Given the swift and severe nature of this COVID-19 shock, to preserve the long-term competitiveness of our company as well as our industry, we are intensely focused on ensuring liquidity through the immediate crisis. We welcome that some 26 countries, including the United States, have announced economic support packages worth more than $100 billion, specifically targeting the aerospace and airline sectors. The aerospace industry relies on a global shared supply chain, and the aviation sector supports 3.6% of the global GDP, generating more than 65 million jobs worldwide. In the U.S., we applaud the administration and Congress for working together to pass the CARES Act, which will be critical to supporting the nation's entire aerospace manufacturing sector, which comprise 2.5 million jobs and 17,000 suppliers. We expect that programs coming out of the bill and funding options the government is putting in place will provide support to help the credit markets function again, providing the liquidity that is vital to our industry's ability to bridge recovery. The $25 billion support package agreed to by the U.S. airlines and the government is a pivotal step toward maintaining the aviation pillar of the U.S. economy, even if full recovery will take years, not months. Knowing that the U.S. airline industry has critical financial support through the pandemic allows us to plan our production and services system for the medium and long-term impact on air travel. Greg will go through our liquidity situation in more detail a bit later, but let me just say we believe that government support will be critical to ensuring our industry's access to liquidity. We continue to evaluate options in the capital markets as well as funding options from the U.S. government via the U.S. Treasury and various Federal Reserve programs. We've also taken other aggressive liquidity steps, including drawing down on a term loan, reducing operating costs, suspending dividend payments, terminating share repurchase authorization, reducing or deferring non-critical spend, and accelerating some progress payment receipts with the help from our defense customers. Additionally, we are working to resize and reshape our business, starting at the top with our leadership structure. We are consolidating roles, simplifying processes, and focusing accountabilities. As part of this reorganization, I've asked Greg Smith, whom most of you know well, to take additional responsibilities leading our enterprise manufacturing, supply chain, and services functions, in addition to his CFO and strategy roles. Before I turn to our longer-term business environment and the steps we're taking to prepare for it, I want to call out the selfless contributions Boeing employees have made to the broader fight against the coronavirus. They've been producing protective face shields for distribution to healthcare professionals, have flown our aircraft on missions to transport critical healthcare supplies around the world, donated masks, gloves, and other equipment, and contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars to food centers for people in need. And that's just a partial list. Now I'd like to turn the attention to the outlook for our industry highlighted on slide 3. The air travel industry has never seen anything quite like this. The latest IATA forecast projects full-year passenger traffic to be down 48% this year compared to 2019, as global economic activity slows down due to the COVID-19 and the government's severely restricting travel to contain the spread of that virus. Here in the U.S., passenger traffic at this moment in time is down 95% compared to a year ago. Airlines are cutting back operations dramatically. As they assess their businesses, they're making difficult decisions that result in grounding fleets, deferring airplane orders, postponing acceptance of completed orders, and slowing down or stopping payments. They are also accelerating aircraft retirements and requiring fewer services. The fundamentals that have driven air travel for the past 5 decades and doubled air traffic over the past 2 decades remain intact. We believe this industry will recover, but it will take 2 to 3 years for travel to return to 2019 levels, and it will be a few years beyond that for the industry to return to long-term growth trends. Our outlook is informed by decades of analysis and insights on customer behavior, including how the industry has reacted to prior market shocks. We incorporated assumptions related to a prolonged recession and potential consolidation within the industry in our assessment. The picture is dynamic and subject to many unknowns, but as we see it today, narrow-body airplanes will lead the way to recovery, trailed by wide-body fleets as airlines progressively bring their networks back online. Therefore, wide-body passenger fleets will likely be more significantly impacted than narrow-body airplanes in the near term. A key driver in both segments will be the rate of retirements of older fleets. We expect our customers to look at their fleet planning strategies differently in light of these dynamics. More than 2,500 aircraft with 20-plus years of service were in active service prior to the crisis. Replacements will not be uniform, as airlines will focus on the oldest and least efficient to retire. Some airlines have already made announcements to this effect. Airplanes that we plan to deliver this year will be 25 to 40% more fuel efficient than the airplanes that they're replacing. Our position is helped by the value proposition of our family of airplanes and the diversity of our backlog. This includes our market-leading 787 Dreamliner family, our unmatched cargo lineup, the world's largest and most efficient twin-engine jet 777X, and the versatile 737 family. To balance the supply and demand given the COVID-19 shock and to preserve our long-term potential and competitiveness, we have decided to reduce the production rates of several of our commercial airplane programs. Let's turn to slide 4. In the narrow-body segment, we have assumed that we will resume 737 MAX aircraft production at low rates in 2020, as timing and conditions of return to service are better understood. We expect to gradually increase the production rate to 31 during 2021, with further gradual increases that correspond with market demand. The slower production rate ramp-up reflects commercial airline industry uncertainty due to the impact of COVID-19. And the production rate ramp profile is also affected by the pace of delivery of our stored aircraft. We continue to see our new MAX airplanes creating capacity for growth and providing required replacements for older, less efficient airplanes. We will continue to work closely with our customers to review their fleet plans and make adjustments where appropriate to adapt to lower than planned 737 MAX production in the near term, provide more flexibility to deliver MAX airplanes in our backlog, and protect the value of the MAX family. Moving to the wide-body segment, we now plan to reduce the 787 production rate to 10 per month in 2020, and then gradually reduce to 7 per month by 2022. We will continue to evaluate the rate beyond 2022 to balance supply and demand. Our 787 Dreamliner family has a compelling value proposition, offering unparalleled fuel efficiency and range flexibility, enabling carriers to optimize fleet and network performance, as well as profitably expanding to new markets. Turning to the 777X, we've made progress on the 777X certification requirements and have resumed flight testing with the restart of our operations in the Puget Sound. We currently expect first delivery of the 777-9 to be in 2021 and will continue to manage the risks inherent in any development program, especially ones around certification in the post-MAX environment and COVID-19 related impacts. We now expect to deliver 777 at an average rate of approximately 2.5 per month in 2020. And due to the market uncertainties driven primarily by the impacts of COVID-19, we plan to reduce the combined 777, 777X production rate to 3 per month in 2021. We will take a measured approach to the 777X rate ramp as we will look to minimize the amount of change in incorporation work by managing the number of aircraft produced prior to entry into service. On the 777, as I discussed earlier, we will continue to closely monitor the cargo market and carefully manage our skyline. Finally, we'll make no change to the 767 and 747 production rates at this time. These programs are targeted for the cargo market, and approximately half of the 767 production line is dedicated to the tanker program. These rate decisions are based on our current assessment of the demand environment